The ego tries to keep itself alive by giving you a false identity. It convinces you that you are the person with a name, a history, a set of emotions or beliefs. Imagine you're holding a pen in your hand. The pen is simply a pen. It's a tool. But if the pen starts telling you, I am not just a pen, I am something more. I am alive. I have my own needs, desires, and purpose. You'd likely recognize that the pen is only an object. It doesn't truly possess its own consciousness, yet it's trying to give itself a false identity. The ego does the same with you. It tricks you into believing that your thoughts, your job, your past, or your fears define you. It tells you that you are these things, but just like the pen, you are not defined by the roles or labels you identify with. You are the awareness that observes these thoughts and experiences. The truth is, you are not the ego's stories or identities. You are the consciousness behind them, the still presence that simply observes. The ego creates a false sense of separation by convincing you that you are separate from everything around you. It makes you believe that your happiness depends on the world acting a certain way, or that your identity depends on your success or approval from others. But imagine a drop of water in the ocean. It might look like an individual drop, but it's still part of the vast ocean. It is the ocean in essence, no matter how small it appears. Similarly, you may feel like you are a separate person, but the truth is you are the consciousness, the ocean of awareness, and everything around you is just a wave passing through. The ego wants you to think that the wave is the entire ocean, but the wave is only a temporary form. It doesn't define the ocean, and it doesn't define you. The ego often speaks in terms of, I need this or I want that to feel fulfilled. It gives you the idea that fulfillment comes from something external, be it material possessions, recognition, or approval. But fulfillment is not something to be sought outside yourself. It's like trying to find the ocean when you're already swimming in it. The ocean is not outside of you. It's what you are swimming in. Likewise, you don't need to search for your true self because it's already within you. The ego will keep telling you, you need more, you need to be better, but you are already complete. The moment you stop identifying with the ego, you realize you are the calm awareness beneath the waves. Consider a moment when you're daydreaming. You're lost in thought, but the moment someone calls your name, you suddenly snap back to the present moment. The person who was daydreaming, the one lost in thought, was not truly you. That was the ego pulling your attention into a fictional story. But when you return to the present moment, you are simply aware. There's no I involved. It's just presence. That presence is your true nature, and it's always here, whether you're lost in thought or completely still. The ego tries to trick you into believing that the thoughts or emotions you experience are who you really are, but in reality, you are the awareness observing them. Imagine you're watching a movie. The characters on the screen seem so real, with emotions, actions, and stories unfolding before you. But you, the person sitting in the theater, know that none of it is real. You are aware of the screen, of the light, and of the projection happening. You don't get lost in the movie and become the character, because you know you are the observer, the one watching the whole scene unfold. In the same way, your ego tries to pull you into the movie of your life, the roles, the dramas, the identities. It wants you to believe you are the character in the story, struggling, needing to fix things, but you are not the character. You are the observer, the one watching everything unfold. The ego will try to convince you that you are defined by the movie of your life, but in truth, you are the awareness behind it. You are the silent witness to all the action, unaffected by the drama. The ego wants you to believe that you're limited, that your value is tied to external conditions. But think about this. A tree doesn't question its worth based on the weather. Whether it's sunny or stormy, the tree simply exists. The tree is not concerned with how others see it, whether it's tall or short, whether it's admired or ignored. It simply stands, rooted in the earth, growing in its own way. You too are not defined by how the world sees you, how others judge you, or even how you judge yourself. You are the consciousness that gives life to all of these experiences. Just as the tree doesn't question its worth, you don't need to question yours. You simply are, and that is enough. The ego keeps you trapped in the illusion of time, telling you that you must achieve something or become someone in order to be whole. It tells you that happiness will come tomorrow, if only you accomplish this or attain that. But if you look closely, you'll see that the past is already gone, and the future is only a thought. The present moment is the only reality that ever truly exists. The ego is obsessed with time, constantly chasing the future or holding on to the past, but it never fully lives in the present. When you step beyond the ego, you step into the eternal now. You realize that happiness, peace, and fulfillment are not things to chase, but states to recognize and experience right now. When you identify with the ego, you live in a world of duality. Good versus bad, right versus wrong, success versus failure. The ego thrives on these opposites, feeding off your judgments and comparisons. But when you let go of the ego, you see beyond these dualities. You understand that everything is part of the same whole. It's like looking at a painting. You might focus on a specific part of the painting, but it's only when you take in the whole picture that you truly understand its beauty. The ego wants to focus on individual details, on separations, but when you step beyond the ego, you can see the beauty of everything as one. You realize that there is no separation between you and others, between you and the universe. The truth of who you are is not something you can figure out with the mind. The mind will always create stories, concepts, and beliefs to keep you busy and distracted. But none of these things are the truth. You are the awareness, the consciousness, the space in which all thoughts, emotions, and experiences arise. Imagine you're in a dark room and there is a flashlight shining in different directions. The flashlight represents your attention, your thoughts. The light moves around, pointing at various things, but the room itself remains unchanged. The room is your true nature, the consciousness, the awareness. The flashlight's movements may draw your attention to different things, but the room is always there, still and constant. You are that room. You are the consciousness that never changes, no matter where your attention may wander. As you begin to realize that you are not the ego, that you are not the person the ego tells you that you are, you start to experience true freedom. The freedom to simply be, without judgment, without striving, without identification. The ego will continue to try to pull you back into its world of separation and false identities. But the more you recognize your true nature, the easier it becomes to let go. You realize that you are not the character the ego has built. You are the awareness behind it, and that awareness is infinite, boundless, and free. So remember, you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not the past. You are not the future. You are the observer, the consciousness that exists beyond all these things. When you realize this, you step into the truth of who you are, a vast, infinite presence connected to everything, yet beyond everything. The ego may try to convince you otherwise, but you are the consciousness that witnesses the ego, and that is the truth of who you are.